Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, if you watched our last video, you know we got a pretty healthy storm last night. And so the yard is nice and moist, and I've decided, since one, the soil is nice and moist, and two, it's kind of a cool day out today, I decided I wanted to go in and finish up one of the little planters. You may recall a couple months ago I built up the planter to the right side of my patio cover, but just kind of left the area blank until it got a little past the frost season, so I could know I could put something in there and not have it die immediately, you know, kind of like what happened over here. So it's now, we're definitely past that. You know, it's in the 80s and 90s every day, but it's a nice cool day in the 70s today, and it seems like a perfect day to put plants into that section. So let me show you what I have in mind. I've already been out to the nursery and picked out what I want. This is there was actually some of this in this planter before. It's called Lantana, and it's something I've been aware of for actually many years, because I tried growing it in my house in California, but unfortunately about the time I got it planted, the neighbors decided they have to have their house painted, and the house painters trampled it to death. But I've been kind of impressed with it because, one, it's very colorful. Two, it's attractive to like bees and butterflies and hummingbirds and that kind of thing, and I always love things like that. And three, it's very prolific, and it does very well in a high heat environment. I remember one time when Jordan and I were out in Palm Springs, I noticed that somebody had a big one of these in their front yard, and it basically, you know, it was one big plant that probably was the size of this area, and it was kind of in the cover there in the corner of their yard. And you know, I figured, you know what, if it can do well in Palm Springs, which is a very hot desert environment, for those of you who don't know, in California, where temperatures can hit 110, 120, and it does well here, which it did. Like I said, I used to have some of it in here, and it died out in the freeze last winter. But you know what, I got a whole bunch of these things that had a good deal going on them for these at the nursery, so I just got a whole bunch of them, and we're gonna fill this whole area in. And if this stuff grows the way I believe it will, you know, this whole area is going to be orange and yellow in 6 months. So let's get this thing in the ground. Yeah, as expected, these are going in pretty easily, so I don't expect it's going to be a really big job today. Like I said, it's a nice day to be outside anyway. Alright, so we got these all in the ground. Did a little bit of watering around just to kind of get some of the dirt and leaves and stuff off of the flagstone, which I'm going to leave as a path out there. But I want to give it all a good nice drink now. Like I said, it rained here really well, so the soil around it was pretty moist, but the soil actually with the plants was a little on the dry side, so I want to give them a little bit of drink too. Don't need to give them a lot because, like I said, it rained here pretty well last night, but just a little bit of a drinky. Give it a good start. You notice there's this little one right down here by the stone here, between the flagstone and the wall. that's kind of popped up. I think that's another one. There used to be one right about there, and I thought I got it all out, but maybe I don't. So if that one grows, that one grows. I've told you before how sometimes if there's a plant that's in an area that looks interesting, even if I don't know what it is, even if it's just a weed, I'll sometimes let it stay just to see what comes of it. I had a section under the patio cover next to the pond in my house in California that was just a very, very poor area for soil. You know, I just couldn't get the quality that good, and a weed kind of took off in there, and I let the weed stay there for years because the weed had this beautiful blue flowers that bloomed every spring, and it just really kind of made the area look nice. It was just a weed, but you know, sometimes weeds are better than the real thing, right? The thing about weeds, they're supposed to be hard to kill, so you know, that's maybe the perfect plant here, is to get weeds all over the place. And I kind of staggered these things, orange and yellow, so that hopefully it'll all kind of grow together and it'll just kind of turn into just a bed of red and yellow. That'd be kind of cool, right? So we've gotten some stuff done this week. We've got the philodendrons in here, which are still doing good 2 days later. I hope I wouldn't have killed them by now. Look at what that elephant ear is doing already. You just saw that 2 days ago. Look at all the change there's been just since then. Now this one over here isn't doing as much, but there is still some growth there, so we'll wait and see what happens. But this area is starting to look pretty nice. I want to get a few more things in here, thicken it up a little bit, but at least for the time being, you know, maybe some ferns or something. This is going to be kind of an area that's really protected from the sun and going to have almost kind of a tropical feel to it. So maybe some like dwarf ferns or even some dwarf palm trees or something that's going to stay small in this area and kind of fit in with the theme. Oh, and there's Flash. Found a place for her afternoon nap. Just find some place out of the sun and pull into a corner. That's all she needs. Hope you don't get bored seeing her. You're going to see her a little bit more frequently now. And this is a garden we planted a week ago. It still seems to be holding its own. I'm still watering this stuff on a daily basis, so this is getting a good drink every night, at least until we get things established. But seems to be doing all right. Hopefully the jalapeno and serrano chili plants will do well. They didn't really do well last year until we started getting into full sun like we are now, so they seem to really like the full sun, and I think these will too. So looking forward to some tomatoes, some okra. And I noticed here when I was planting this one already has a little chili pepper on it. Right there. So that's going to be the first chili pepper of the season. And I've shown you this recently. This was actually something I planted last year, and I put all these little clumps of ornamental grass. Look at how much that's filled in. That's actually what I was hoping it would do. I was hoping it would fill in the whole area. And it's well on its way to doing that, isn't it? I've even noticed some of this stuff taking root elsewhere in the yard. I had to pull some of it out of the vegetable garden a couple weeks ago. But this is the newest addition to the garden, and like I said, this stuff grows pretty fast, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this fills in and how pretty this looks, because this whole area should be orange and yellow in a couple months. Fingers crossed, right? Now you may remember a couple months ago I went to Buc-ee's and got this. Well, it turns out I inherited another one from my mom and dad. This was hanging in their yard, so I got two of these in the yard now. So loving this one. Put this one up way up high Yeah, this is me walking underneath it, and I'm still not going to bump my head on that. So, you think that'll irritate the neighbors? I don't know. We'll see. So I think that's all that I have today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.